That's just really. Right. Do you have that supplement with you?
Call the commission meeting to order, and Commissioner White has our invocation and our pledge of allegiance.
Let's bow our heads for prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much that we could be here doing the people's business. Lord, I pray that you'll be with us and guide our thoughts and our prayers and our decision. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Please stand for the pledge. Render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Present.
Commissioner Hanson,
Here.
Commissioner White,
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Lamb.
Here. I gotta scoot this right where I can hear it. You had in your packet the minutes from our previous meeting on September 6th. Are there any corrections on those? Are there?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Now's the time for we've set aside for our residents or visitors to speak to us. If you have something you want to share, give us your name and your address at the microphone. Seeing none, we'll go on with our agenda. We have one unfinished business, which is the second reading and a public hearing. Would you read that caption, please, and then I'll go to the public hearing.
An ordinance of the City of Collegedale, Tennessee to revise purchasing limits.
I'm going to close the commission meeting and open the public hearing. If you have any comments you would like to give us on this particular ordinance, we'd be happy to hear them.
Good afternoon. Sorry, my keys are jingling a little bit. Tanya Sadler, I live on Timberview Trail. I want to start tonight by just thanking City Manager Hines. It's been a breath of fresh air dealing with him when I have questions about the ordinances or anything else that's going on in the city. My question is, can I kind of get an overview before the vote tonight of what the current process is and then what exactly will be changing about it? Is it just a number amount, or is there any processes that are going to change as well?
So currently, any city expenditure over $10,000 has to be publicly bid outside of engineering and sole sourced contracts. The spending limit of the city manager is also set at $10,000. State law has changed that anything under $25,000 does not have to be publicly bid, but the city manager's spending limit is to remain at $10,000. So anything in the $10,000 to $25,000 range would not have to be publicly bid, but would still come to the commission for approval.
Okay, and I know in years past, we've had a lot of amendments at the end of the budget year that had to be passed to go back for spending that was not planned for. Is this going to be in any way a safeguard for that, or is it going to create a situation where we could have even more of those amendments under the previous city management?
So the amendments are to true up the difference between the estimate and the actual of the budget of the fiscal year. This will not have any effect upon that, because at the end of the year, we will still have to do an amendment again for the difference between the budget, which is a projection, and the actual, which is what occurred.
Okay, and is this fairly typical for other municipalities in our county? Has anyone else in the area done this yet?
So this is a recent change under state law, and yes, most everyone is moving in this direction that can, simply because the bid process, especially in lower value projects, $15,000 as an example, is laborious, and you have fewer people willing to do the work because they don't want to go through a multi-week or month bid process. Whereas if you just call them up, and you can call 3 people and say, hey, we what would it cost to do this? You get your 3 quotes, you pick the low one that's qualified and go forward.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm going to close the public hearing and go back to our commission meeting. Okay, does any of the commissioners have any comments or questions regarding this ordinance?
So the only thing changing, beat you to it. The only thing that's changing is the bid process amount, correct?
Correct.
Not your
Correct.
authority to spend.
Absolutely correct.
And is that 10,000 still common for city managers?
It is held under code, TCA.
Okay, so it has not changed at all. That was one of my questions. I have 4 bullets, but he addressed all of them, so I'm good.
You commented about getting 3 bids over the phone and taking the lowest one. I assume you probably don't always take the lowest one on something like that. Is that?
Lowest qualified.
Okay.
So even if we bid it out, it's the lowest qualified bidder. And so on major projects, that'll include calling references and that sort of thing. And sometimes it's very difficult to bid, for instance, a $15,000 project because there may not be 3 firms interested in the process for a $15,000 project.
Like the airport hangars last time. Repair.
Correct,
You only got 1 bid back.
correct.
I move to approve.
I'll second. Okay, any further comment? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. We'll move to our new business. We have a bid for the approval of a TDEC grant administration for sewer improvement.
Good evening. So yes, we did put out a bid or request for qualifications to have someone administer a grant application for us on our behalf. TDEC is orchestrating this grant process with federal funding from the AP, American Rescue Plan funding. And so our city has allocated $1.4 million of non-competitive grant monies available to us. So looking through the process, the manual, everything required, it's very intensive. So we recommend that we go with a firm to handle all the paperwork process. They handle the application, then administering throughout the grant process, and then also all the closeout paperwork, making sure the feds get everything they need so that we can utilize the money correctly. We had 2 firms that responded. One was Southeast Tennessee Development, and then the other one was TUA, or Tennessee Utility Association. And basically they send us all the references, past projects, who they have working on it and everything. Chris McAloon, our city engineer, and myself looked over them, and we're recommending to go with the Tennessee Utility Association. They have great references, track records. They actually worked with TDEC at the very beginning of this grant process to set up how they're going to run the whole process of handling the federal money. There's no set price amount per se, because on this type of administration, it's based on the actual money that you apply for. But both these companies said they do 3% of the cost of what federal funding you get through the grant program.
Okay, any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion for approval. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Our next item is approval for an airport advisory board.
So the airport is looking to form an airport advisory board that will generally just consist of airport users as well as local business owners, including Franklin Faro. The board will operate at the pleasure of the city manager and will assist both he and I in our duties, making recommendations for various improvements that we can make at the airport. And it would be my recommendation to input this into our day-to-day.
Will there be minutes from the board meeting that we can see, or?
We have That is not included in the document, but it is something that we could include. We could definitely report what is discussed.
We need to be in the know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm for it. I just want to make sure it's communicated to us.
Mhm.
And I think,
On a regular basis.
We probably ought to treat it as a public meeting and advertise the meetings and record them and everything like we do these meetings.
It seems to me there should also be a commissioner on it, like all of our other advisory or commission boards.
So one of the proposed members that is expected to be on it is running for commission. Obviously, it hasn't taken place yet. If that does come to fruition, he will be on the board, but we can always make changes as necessary to.
I don't think
Sure
you
that.
need to expect him to win.
Definitely don't expect that. Just if it was to come to fruition, that would be
Why don't we do
potential.
this? Why don't you let me take a crack at revising it to make provision for that
Okay.
next time?
do you think, so do other municipalities who have airports, not a lot of them?
They do. We're actually one of the only ones in this area that does not currently have an airport
Do they
board.
do public meetings or how do they do that?
That I am not totally aware of. I'm not sure.
How many do you have on there?
Right now, we have 5.
Jay Jolly.
We have Jay Jolly, we have Morty Lloyd, Tony Walker, Alan Robertson, and Franklin Farrow.
I'm not opposed. I just want minutes, but Sam, you think it needs to be a public meeting?
Well, let me look into that too, but do you want one of your membership?
I think it should be. I think because all of our others do. The police one has one. The Parks and Rec has one.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be important that we may be consistent across the board.
Yeah.
Would this board also need to be appointed by the mayor or by the commission, since all the rest of them are?
They typically aren't.
Parks and Rec?
No,
Yes.
airport advisory boards.
Oh.
The limited amount that I looked into it, this came up, immediately when I was appointed interim. This group of individuals came wanting a voice. And so their thought process was that it would be the users in a self-appointed group amongst the users making strictly recommendations to the director and to the city manager.
But it's also a city-owned business. And that's the reason I feel a commissioner should be on it.
Correct. I wasn't speaking to the commissioner provision. I was speaking to the membership provision. The commissioner provision makes lots of sense.
Let me run this back. I think I missed one. I got Mort Lloyd, and you said Jolly, Walker, and Pharaoh. Who was the other one?
Alan Robertson.
Robertson. Okay, thank you.
Well, if this is just a group of people who have an interest in the airport, can't they advise it without us putting the official stamp on them? I mean,
They're not spending money.
they could be.
It all has to come to us, right?
Correct.
Correct.
It's simply a volunteer organization of individuals that we were looking for a little more formal process to put the information together and then convey it.
It-
Well, so is the Park and Rec advisory.
So is there any benefits to receiving grants to having an official advisory board, like with Parks and Rec and different other boards? There has to be a advisory board to receive certain grants. Is there?
Not currently through the TDOT program.
Okay.
So that may change in the future. There may be other grants that we've not pursued in the past that it could be a benefit.
I share the sentiment of the mayor and the vice mayor that if they are going to be an official board, advisory board, they do fall under the purview of this body, just like every other advisory board operates as. But if they're a collective group of citizens that are just sending ideas over, that's completely different. But if they take the title as an advisory board, I think they need to fall under the purview of this body. So that's my take on it. But Sam, if you can take a gander at it.
I'll be glad to take a look at it if you want to keep it in this format. If you want me inserting the requirement that a commissioner be involved, I'll do that. And then I'll also look and see whether we need to have,
it needs to be a public meeting type thing or not, or whether it's because if all they're doing is providing advice, then it's not, and the advice would go to the administration, not necessarily to you. So let me just look at it and we'll,
Maybe we can put it back on the agenda for the first one in October.
yeah.
I'd be interested in finding out some of the smaller local airports,
Mhm.
if they have an advisory board and does the commission sit on it. I'm not really concerned about that as much. I just want to make sure we're in the know, in the notes or whatever from. the
Sure.
meeting.
Yeah, and I can take a look at that. It's something I can look at. I do know, as I said, though, every other airport that I'm aware of does have a board. So that's, part of the notion to start creating one here.
Thank you.
So we're going to postpone this one, right?
Yeah, we'll postpone it till,
We'll reschedule it for October 3.
so you just might put, it was the consensus of the commission.
This would have been a good
To defer.
workshop
Defer
topic.
until the 1st of October.
Okay, we'll move on then. Our next item is approval to purchase 2023 Dodge Durangos.
Can't afford 150.
I think
And,
you're always coming up here for
Ford
money.
F-150.
I actually commented on that earlier, that
You
maybe
know,
I'd like to come up here one night and just not ask for money, but
He's like, we used to say about the engineer, everything's $100,000.
seems like that, doesn't it? So you may recall originally when we were budgeted, we talked about 4 Durangos and 1 F-150 pickup. The state allowed for some rebids to go out, and when they came back in, pretty much every vehicle across the board, but the Durango specifically went up about $8,000 on the state contract. So based on that, to stay within the budget, obviously, we're just going to look at purchasing 3 this year plus the truck. So the state contract for the Durangos is $42,578 each. So for 3 Durangos, you're at $127,734. The F-150 is $40,051. So the total for all 4 vehicles would be $167,785.
Okay, any questions?
What's the F-150 used for?
That was going to be assigned to our logistics sergeant. We find ourselves in situations where we're needing to haul large boxes or move equipment around, or sometimes bulk items of evidence to things of that nature. And so we just wanted to add an actual pickup to the patrol fleet.
And so that'd be assigned to the administration sergeant?
Yes.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
It is a police F-150 though.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I know, they look good. But I mean, for the $2,000 cheaper, might as well go to an F-150 fleet. Keep y'all from pursuing too much.
We're working
That was a
on
joke. They look sexy though out, the F-150s do.
Yeah. they're nice vehicles.
And these were already budgeted for, except for the fact that the $8,000 increase.
Yes, they were budgeted.
So you're going to cut one out of the budget number, is that right?
Yeah, instead of ordering 4 Durangos, we're just going to order 3 because of the price increase when the bids went up.
Are we having any problems out of those Durangos?
No, sir.
No transmission problems?
No, sir.
None whatsoever.
Are you hearing otherwise?
No.
We do in-house maintenance almost, don't we?
Yes.
Mechanics and all.
You never know what you hear these days.
Well,
Public talk.
everything that the information to me and the city managers, they love them. They've had no problems, no issues, other than just routine maintenance that's going to happen on any law enforcement vehicle.
Do one of our canine officers, we're already fully equipped for our canine officers, the vehicles that they use and so forth?
Yes, we have 1 canine vehicle currently in service, and one of the new Durangos will be upfitted for the second canine, assuming that we officially buy it after they meet tonight and approve it.
And how soon can we get equipment for it?
For what?
The Durangos.
Well, we have the equipment for the Durangos that we ordered last year currently, and then as soon as we can get approval to get them ordered, then we'll start ordering the equipment for the new.
In the
ones.
morning, you can order it.
What's that?
You can order the equipment in the morning?
Oh, yeah. Well, sure, we can order now. When they deliver it and we take
Yeah.
possession is, they told us that, even if we ordered the Durangos relatively soon, that we shouldn't expect to see them till February or March of next year.
And that's pretty
Um,
much how it's been on all vehicles.
That's how it's been
Yeah.
pretty consistently,
Even
so.
having them repaired.
The estimate on delivery for the Ford, if we ordered it, would be around January, early February, and the Durangos were late February, early March, before we even take delivery of them.
Does that make them 22 or 23 models?
They're 23 models.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yay.
Commissioner White?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yay.
Mayor Lamb?
Yay. Our next item is the sale of surplus for the police department.
And so we have 3 vehicles in the fleet that are well beyond their life expectation. Already been decommissioned or downlined due to mechanical issues, and just wouldn't be responsible for us to put the money into to fix them. So we're looking to surplus a 2006 Dodge Charger, a 2009 Dodge Charger, and a 2014 Ford Explorer.
And that'll go to auction.
Correct.
Move to approve.
I make,
Oh.
motion. Go ahead.
I was just gonna make a motion to approve.
That's fine. I'll second.
Any further comment? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yay.
Commissioner White?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yay.
Mayor Lamb?
Yay.
Thank you.
Our next one is approval for amendment of the airport tree clearing grant.
Okay, so this afternoon did receive a amendment to our abrogation easement and tree clearing project. The Tennessee State Historic Preservation Office is now requiring us to do an archaeological survey report as part of this tree clearing project. It's this initial scope is, if you're going past the airport, it's just past Leighton Lane on the left. The archaeological site files maintained by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture in Nashville will be consulted to determine if any of the known sites as part of this are located in this project area or within 1 mile of it. The information on recent surveys in the vicinity will also be gathered to provide information on where the sites might be located within our project area. The sum of this is $19,100, although it is part of our 95-5 agreement, so we will only be liable for a sum of $955. And
Are we trying to approve the contract with CRA or are we approving an amendment with the state?
this is an amendment to the state, from what I understand. It's part of our TDOT.
CRA. Who then subs to CRA to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not contracting with CRA.
Correct. It's with
The state would be.
Right.
Yes, with TDOT.
To it. We just
Okay.
have to pay.
How long is this
And
going?
this is the whole amendment, this Exhibit B?
So, yeah, so that is the amendment. He has not sent me the official amendment, the grant. This is just the information that's going to be inputted into the grant amendment. I have not received the actual grant yet from him.
The grant contract, or the amendment to the grant?
Correct.
contract.
This is just the information that's going to be needed to change that.
I mean, I haven't reviewed the contract, but on the other hand, the state contracts are all the same and they don't, I mean, it's not like the state takes advantage of the city. So you can either approve it or wait till we get the actual contract.
What does our city manager recommend?
To go ahead and approve, since we have a deadline of Wednesday to submit the update to the state.
How long is it going to take them to do the survey?
So he did tell me that once they get the okay from us and he gets the ball rolling with TDOT, they can have guys out here within 1 week from that point to start the survey. He did say it was expedited.
I move approval.
And I'll second. Oh, sorry, I went too fast.
No. Were you, he approved it. Do we have a second? You had a second?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yay.
Commissioner White?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yay.
Mayor Lamb?
Yay.
Thank
Can I
you.
ask Something while we have him up. Are we
Sure.
through?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I've been going out at the airport, driving around and just checking to see, what are we doing about the hangers and the rust on top of the roofs and things like that? 'Cause
We-
there's some improvements, but it just doesn't look nice.
So we did do some improvements. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a couple hangers that we did install some, we modified some of the roofing on them that was leaking.
Yeah.
So we are tackling those as the budget allows for. kind of just on a case-by-case basis, but it is in the works to continue that with all the other existing hangars.
So how long are you maybe given an estimate, how long it would take to get them up to par?
We
now that you're going?
don't believe we could get to everything within this fiscal budget year. Some of it will definitely roll over into next, but there is a significant amount of that needs to be taken care of. But it will definitely roll into next budget year for sure.
Okay.
We are tackling as the budget allows for, though.
Thank you.
So when it comes to commission, don't let me forget a comment about the airport. I won't make it now since he's finished, but I need you to remind me.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I've enjoyed, I mean, I've seen the changes.
Great.
You know, so it's all good.
Thank you.
Our next item is from reports from our city administration.
So just a reminder, on 10/11 from 3 to 6, we have our shredding event. And then I'll ask Michelle to present our finance report.
Evening. You should have the June, July, and August finance report in front of you. Looking at the June, we're 100% through fiscal year 2022 there. We've received 118% of budgeted revenues and spent approximately 89% of budget expenditures. Now, the expenditures will go up after the auditors come in and give all of their entries, but I would be shocked if it reached 100%. It'll be below, so we'll be good. The only items to note for revenues and expenditures are that we obviously over budgeted for interest earnings, but we have corrected that for this fiscal year. And the waste collection is below budget because the used cab chassis for the knuckle truck the invoice has not come in yet. We can skip July and just go straight to August. And for August, we're 17% through the year and have received 9% of the budgeted revenues and spent 19% of budgeted expenditures, which we're right on track for a typical fiscal year at that mark. And then as far as the bank balances go, we haven't made any transfers, so there's very little change there. Do you have any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions before we vote? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Thank you so much for the good report.
Yes, you're welcome.
Now we need any reports from our commissioner.
Nothing
Commission, nothing,
Nothing.
nothing? Debbie, I should say Commissioner Baker,
Oh, Debbie's fine. Not at this time.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I want, airport. Can we put something on the workshop? You know, I met with some airport folks a couple months ago, it seems like, and they brought up some issues, and I'd like to see a project plan, if you will. What's out there that needs to be fixed? And I know they're an enterprise fund, and I know that we're working on some things, but what are the top 10 things that needs to happen at the airport? And you don't have to answer it today, but I'd like to see it in a official kind of log so that we can look and track. Every time I look at the bank balance and you got $9,000 sitting in it, makes me sick. And I know that's not all of it, of course,
No,
but.
that's just the savings.
I know.
Yeah.
But it still makes me sick. Being an enterprise fund, you would think they would have more money than that in there. But I know we're still keeping our head above water, if you will. But that being said, I'd like to know, is it runway lights? When are they going to be fixed? Roofs? Is there electrical issues? Is there computer issues for our pilots, the weather station that we've talked about, and a few other things? I think that's important to us. just so that we can get a feel for what's out there, and then we can actually add that on to the airport authority if they get up and running, so we can like tick mark beside things that they're doing as well.
We can prepare that. All the things you mentioned are certainly on the list, plus a myriad of others.
Yeah.
One of the goals from the advisory group would be for them to also come up with a list in addition to the things we're aware of and help prioritize all of those projects.
Well, if you want to wait till that's ready, I'm not sure when they'll have their first meeting, but
What I would prefer to do is go ahead and come up with a first blush high-level list at the next workshop, just to go over it real quick. The top 10 things as an example that we're monitoring, and then update you at some time in the future if there's an advisory board and if it's significantly different.
so I think there's quick hit items that we can put on there, and then capital, because I don't see us quickly getting money into our capital funds from a budget, I guess I should say, unless you raise rent. And I'm not sure that we can continue to do that year over year. Are there other things besides fuel, that we could look at, or, I know it takes money to make money, but I'm just kind of curious. Y'all's recommendations.
Okay,
That's all I have, Mayor.
okay. I don't have anything tonight, so I guess
Thank you.
you have something else?
No,
I'm open for an adjournment.
Move to
maybe.
adjourn.
Second?
We're adjourned.
Email me in the morning.
Huh?
I've got
Okay.